Okay, so when I factor a polynomial, think about it. I can have at most the same number of factors as the degree of the polynomial, right? So when we would factor some type of quadrilateral, x squared minus 3x plus 2, I would factor into two parts, right? X minus 2 and x minus 1. So I have two factors. So at most, I can have the same number of factors as the degree. So what is a real zero? So what is a real zero? A real zero is just a zero that's a real number. So for here, my real zeros will be 2 and 1. So think about the graph of x squared plus 2. Go ahead and graph that on your calculator, and what do you notice? It never crosses the x-axis. That means it has no real zeros. Because remember, a real zero is where it crosses the x-axis. And we'll talk about those type of the zeros for here a little bit later. So the number of real zeros for any polynomial is at most the degree of the polynomial. Okay, so sometimes what we want to do is we want to know the number. This helps us determine the number of positive and negative real zeros. So is it a positive zero? Is it a negative zero? Because we're going to have to figure out, want to see a way to calculate them. It's nice to know how many we think to have of each. So for a polynomial, by the Descartes rule of signs, for a polynomial, you can determine the possible number of real zeros actually a positive and negative So what I have to look at is this. I look at f of x, and I count the number of sign changes. So if I was to look at x squared plus 2x minus 3, it changes once and twice. So I can have, sorry, it's positive, it goes to negative, it changes once. So it only changes once, so I can have one positive 0. For negative, I look at f of negative x, and I plug it in. I'm going to use the same equation again. So I have negative x squared plus 2 times negative x minus 3. So I have x squared minus 2x minus 3. And again, it's positive. It changes once to negative. It doesn't change again. So I have at most one negative real zero. And if you were to actually factor it, you would see that it factors to x plus 3, x minus 1. And I have one negative and one positive real zero.